in Arizona.
Number one during your morning commute.
Number one whenever news breaks during your day.
And number one whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, welcome to the Monty Show. A pleasure to be with you. Boy, what a weekend in the NFL. We're definitely going to talk NFL playoffs here. We have got to talk about Steph dropping 62 and Paul George taking serious heat from Devin Booker. More people saying the president should be impeached. Got all this craziness. Jake lives alone and had a moment of panic last night. And then there's Doug Pederson, who upset everybody.
Pretty much.
So I think that's where we start, but you're going to start by smashing that subscribe button. Please do it right now. We are live on Periscope and on YouTube. Again, as I tell you, we are going to be live on YouTube every day. Periscope's going away March 31st, so I would implore you right now, smash that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button as you watch us live on YouTube. It's a huge deal for us. We really appreciate that you guys watch this show every day. Please hit subscribe and like on our videos. All right, Jake.
Yes.
Let's start with the Philadelphia Eagles because I think this is a huge story last night. And if you didn't see it, let me set it up for you. The Eagles and the Redskins, Sunday Night Football, prime time, the only game going. Very clearly, this is one of the leverage games of the weekend, which is why it was flexed. I think we saw that the Giants on Twitter were all watching the game as they tweeted about what happened, and it was a 3-point game. We were late in the second half, and Doug Pederson pulled Jalen Hurts. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, he put in Carson Wentz, right? I mean, obvious, Avi.
Yeah, a good replacement.
You know, Avi.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he put in Nate Sudfeld, who has no experience as an NFL starter, has very few reps even of live game snapping happening. Sudfeld was terrible. The Eagles went on to lose the game. You go back and look at some of the decisions that Doug Pederson made in the second half of this game, including going for it on fourth down at the goal line instead of kicking a field goal, which obviously would change the outcome of this game. But no, instead, he clearly tanked this game, in my opinion. And I think what happened is Doug Pederson, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, got a vote of confidence from Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, that he was going to be back next year. And they clearly decided that they wanted to lose this game. Had they won the game, the Eagles would have selected 9th in the draft. They lost the game, so instead, they will select 6th in the NFL draft. And Jake, I'm telling you, this is as dirty as it gets, and maybe I'm too short-sighted on this, I don't know. The Washington football market, the New York City football market, and the Philadelphia Eagles football market, those are 3 of the biggest TV markets in the country, and all of them watched in horror as Doug Pederson tanked this game. How bad do you think this is for the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's an awful look. You know, you never want a team tanking a game. You never want a team to just be, ruining the quality on the field, because that at the end of the day is what makes the NFL all of its money, right? The product on the field is the beginning and the end for the NFL. Now, I do think that there is a conversation about draft position. We don't come out and criticize NBA teams for tanking. We've in fact talked about it many times over the years about how it's okay that NBA teams tank to get a better draft spot or a better chance in the lottery. But in the NFL, when it affects somebody else, when it affects the Giants, if you tank a game, when it's a bad look, we want to rip these guys. So yeah, is it a bad look? Yeah, it's absolutely a bad look. You never want a team tanking a game. Do I, on some level, understand what they were trying to do? They were essentially not prioritizing this game. They were prioritizing the future. Okay, I can kind of get that thought process, but you did it in the worst possible way you could. It's not like you left Jalen in there, most of the game and then put in Sudfeld for garbage time.
Right, right.
Like you took him out early in the game. You said, "Hey, we're done with this. Like we're going with this guy," and that's
right.
it. And I think it was funny. On the broadcast last night, there was a shot of the Eagles' offensive line bench. They were all sitting there, And they were even talking about that. They were joking, saying that's the look. And what they were referring to is that's the look of your offensive line, knowing that even if you do a good job, your quarterback's still going to turn it over.
I mean, it's a terrible situation. If you're the New York Giants, and I mean, there must have been half a dozen Giants players tweeting about this last night. If you're the Giants, how are you not just livid? If you are, if you're a fan of the Washington football team, you're loving this.
Yeah.
Because they're in. But if you're Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was determining your matchup last night.
Right.
How are you not just absolutely pissed about this? I don't see how this is good for the NFL in any way. I think this is the other question that nobody's talking about. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, I'll ask you simply, how do you bring Doug Pederson back to this locker room when it is very clear that the Eagles tanked this game?
Yeah.
He said after the game, anybody who thinks that I wasn't trying to win this game, I had my best players out there. So you're telling me that you've quit on Jalen Hurts then. You're telling me that you didn't believe in Jalen Hurts. And after the game, Pederson said, well, Nate Sudfeld had been here. Nate deserves snaps. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Best quarterback to win this game was Jalen Hurts. That's the guy. And by the way, again, Carson Wentz was not active for this game. So he was not eligible to come into the game.
Yeah.
You had the right guy in the game in Jalen Hurts, who got you 2 touchdowns. I don't understand how you can then stand up there and say you were doing everything you could do to win the game. And I don't understand how you can bring Doug Pederson back to this locker room.
Yeah, well,
I don't get it.
Look, I think what's interesting is the other thing here is that it's not like they were down 20 when he took Hurts out. You were down 3 points. Like, you were in the game. Like, you had a shot to win that game. Maybe a better way to put it is you probably should have won the game based on where you were at when you took Hurts out. And so, yeah, it's a bad look, but at the same time, it's not like we're talking about. I guess my question is, are the Eagles a premier franchise in the league still?
Yes.
You think they're a premier brand in the league still?
Yes, they have. In my opinion, the Philadelphia Eagles, they have one of the most important moments in recent NFL history. When you ran, I think one of the improbable plays to beat the Patriots in a Super Bowl, the Philly special.
Yeah.
Yes, they're one of the premier franchises. I mean, who would be more premier than the Eagles? Are they the Patriots? No, but the Patriots are in a terrible spot right now.
Yeah.
Right? Are they who's the best team in the NFL? Are they the Chiefs? I would think, the Chiefs are clearly a better football team, but don't tell me that Philadelphia is not a more important team in the league than the Chiefs are.
Right.
Because I think they are. I think that the Eagles are a really important market. Philadelphia fans are as passionate and as deserving as any fan base in the NFL.
Yeah.
And when you have a guy like Lurie and a head coach like Doug Pederson, who is so clearly willing to throw a football game for 3 spots in the draft,
apparently I think it's outrageous. They better have a great plan for the draft. By the way, like you better have that all lined out.
I think it's absolutely outrageous. I think that if I'm Roger Goodell, and he never will admit that this is a problem, he had better have called Jeffrey Lurie.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that Doug Pederson, with all due respect to Doug, because he's a Super Bowl champion coach, okay, cool. You can't tell me Doug Pederson made that decision on his own.
No.
There's no chance that he pulled Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld. No, there's no way. No, I'm not buying that.
That's definitely a decision that comes from the top. In that situation, I'm not saying that every time a quarterback gets pulled, it comes from the GM or whatever, the owner. But what I am saying is, in this situation, with what's gone on and where we're at in the season, that was definitely a decision made in the front office.
That is absolutely one of the most deplorable acts that I think that I've ever seen in the NFL. And I'm not trying to make this any worse or any more egregious than it is, but I'm telling you, when you mess with the integrity of the National Football League, it's very difficult to hide that. And there's no doubt that the Philadelphia Eagles wanted to lose that game. Doug Pederson, you're full of crap when you're sitting up there saying, I'm doing everything I can do to win the game. No, you're not. Because if that were the case, you'd have left Jalen Hurts in the game. He was clearly the best quarterback there. Now, what this does, though, obviously, is this puts the Washington football team, who has multiple lawsuits against it for sexual harassment, HR issues, the name change. Like, you put one of the blights on the face of the NFL, and I think that's the only way to describe the Washington football team at this point.
Yeah,
that's a terrible franchise historically, and when I say historically, I want to be careful. Since Daniel Snyder has owned the Washington football team, they have been a laughingstock in the league.
Yep.
And when you look at the name change and you look at how long people have called for, and justifiably so, have called for the Redskin name to go away, it finally has. You look at all of the stuff that the Washington football team had been through. And then you start looking at the story of Alex Smith and just how good the story of Alex Smith is. And now they're in the playoffs. And not only that, they're going to probably be one of the most watched playoff games because I think Tom Brady is still one of the more fascinating figures in the NFL. And now that he's in Tampa, Jake, I just feel like this is a make or break moment for the Washington football team. If they beat the Bucks, and they're going to host that game, by the way.
Yeah.
If they beat the Bucks on national TV with a captive audience, I mean, this could be a real turning point for that franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice when you're a terrible franchise and you start winning again, And what's funny is this division is just awful. I mean, you're talking about 4, 5, 6 win teams here who are winning their division, And so it's terrible. But I mean, will they beat the Bucks? No, I don't think so. I think it'll be a good game, but I don't think they're actually going to go out and win that game. Will it be a premier game? Will it be a good matchup? Will it be fun to watch? Will it be everything the NFL wants it to be? I think so. I think it will probably be. I'm hoping it's not a laugher. Because that's the worst case scenario as a sports fan. When you have the 31-10 laugher kind of a game in the playoffs. That's the worst thing ever. So I hope it's a good matchup. I think the story of Alex Smith is one of the best stories that we can lean on in the league, and there's some other nice quarterback stories right now, what's going on in LA and other areas, but I think Alex Smith, what happened to him, the comeback, the fact that they're in the postseason now, I mean, it's the stuff of legends, man.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see exactly how all this plays out. Obviously, one of our most passionate listeners is Barry, the New York Giant fan, who is just going off saying, the fix is in. Very clearly, the NFL doesn't want our Giants in. I don't think this is an NFL issue. I don't believe that Roger Goodell called down to Doug Pederson and said, "You're playing Nate Sudfeld." I don't believe that that's what happened here.
Yeah.
I think this is an Eagles issue.
Yeah.
This is not the NFL trying to keep its largest media market out of the NFL playoffs. That would make – you can say a lot of things about Roger Goodell, but him being stupid that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, I could get down with, hey, the owner of the Eagles got involved in this. That you're never going to convince me that anybody at the league level made this decision.
Nope.
I'm just –
it doesn't benefit the league.
And by the way, how many singular plays during this season cost the New York Giants a win?
Yeah.
Many.
Yep.
Many. Singular. One play kept them out of the playoffs about 10 times this year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not sit here and say that this one game kept the Giants out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that very clearly is not at all what happened.
Yeah.
How about the Arizona Cardinals, though? There is quite a bit more buzz around firing Kliff Kingsbury than I thought there would be.
Uh-huh.
On the record, I am telling you, you're crazy if you replace Kliff Kingsbury already with the Arizona Cardinals. Was this a good season for them?
Yeah, I think the thing here is that everybody expected them to finish above 500. And I think on this show we've discussed multiple times that that's what they are right now. They're a 500 team, and they had the potential to get to 10 wins this year, and they didn't make the plays. They just didn't do their job. And so, yes, that does come down on Kliff Kingsbury, yes. But I also think it comes down on the fact that the league adjusted to Kyler Murray. You look at the first, I would say, 8 to 10 weeks of the season, nobody was jumping up at the line of scrimmage to try to block passes. Nobody was doing a great job of containing him. But then you look at the back half of the season, the second half of the schedule, if you will, And now all of a sudden the league is starting to understand, and this isn't all serious, I'm not even joking, the league is starting to understand that, hey, this is a shorter quarterback. And what that allows us to do on the defensive line is that allows us to get our hands up more, to take away those passing lanes, to make it more difficult on Kyler. And then when he does run, we want to make sure that we contain him. And so I think what we saw, the reason it got more difficult for the Cardinals is not because Kliff Kingsbury is some awful head coach, but I think the league adjusted. And now it's time for Kyler Murray to get healthy with whatever he's dealing with and figure out how in the hell he's going to get over the defensive lines in the NFL, because that was a big deal. That was something that limited them a lot. So overall, I think they're in a pretty good place. They have to make the postseason next year. If they don't make the postseason next year, then you can talk about Cliffy's job, in my opinion.
I just don't see in any way, shape, or form that makes sense. And again, I know we talk a lot of Cardinal football on this show. Obviously, we have a huge fan base in Phoenix that listens to this show daily, and I can't believe that there is even a quarter of Arizona Cardinal fans who are rooting for Kliff Kingsbury to be fired. I mean, I think we have seen him, if nothing else, do a great job of developing verticality.
Right.
Bringing Kyler Murray into the realm of quarterbacks who are actually tall enough to play in this league.
Right.
I'll stop. The point is, Kliff Kingsbury has done exactly what you asked him to do. Develop Kyler Murray. He is in my opinion, a future MVP candidate. He is absolutely a lethal weapon. He is somebody that fans turn the TV on and will buy tickets to see once COVID's over. You'd be crazy to fire Kliff Kingsbury right now. They don't make the playoffs next year? Absolutely. This is a real discussion. You should talk about this. But with, I think, still issues on the offensive line, that holding in the end zone yesterday that got resulted in a safety.
It's blatant holding.
Yeah.
I mean, not even close.
And it's because Justin Pugh is not on par at his position with a big-time quarterback. You need better offensive line play. You need stability at the running back position. You need to figure out that Patrick Pederson is done. And by the way, I don't think we can go too far without talking about the fact that it looks like Larry Fitzgerald retired yesterday. You had one of his coaches from the Cardinals, Brenton Buckner, tweeting a goodbye, a farewell, and a thank you to Larry Fitzgerald, and then trying to delete it and say he didn't do that. Yeah, you did. And there's no way around that. Larry Fitzgerald likely has played his last NFL game.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that it's not going to be a playoff game because he was hurt yesterday. He's been dealing with injuries for several weeks. He did not play yesterday.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate that this is where his career will come to an end, it looks like. My point is, you have a wealth of weapons on this team, and you are at a point where, you have to make some upgrades on the defense. I don't know. Is Vance Joseph the answer as a defensive coordinator? I don't know.
Well, look, I think that their schemes are good. It's the execution on the field that's not good. You know, you have, again, it's a talent issue. Whether we're talking about the offensive line or the defense, it's not that Vance Joseph has awful schemes or puts his guys in bad positions. They just don't make the plays right now. You know, and that's literally what the NFL is about. You're either going to make that open field tackle, 5 yards before the first down, or you're going to miss that tackle, and the guy's going to gain 6 to 8 more yards, and you're going to give up the first down. And too often they're missing the tackle.
Yeah, and I think the larger issue is, can Steve Keim be trusted to go and get guys that are going to make a difference on that defense? Like, are you going to bring Patrick Pederson back? I think it's
Guaranteed.
I think they do bring him back.
They will.
And I think it's a huge mistake. I think if you're a legit big-time defense, Patrick Peterson's not good enough to be your starting corner.
Yeah.
I think he clearly has lost a step. If you watch game tape of Patrick Pederson, and if you watch as much Cardinal football as we have and do watch, Patrick Pederson is chasing guys on a regular basis. If you look at the number of blown assignments, look at the number of blown assignments yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, you allowed the tight end to run free in the secondary 3 times.
Yeah.
2 of those 3, it was Patrick Peterson's assignment.
Well, and I'll say this too, like, kind of going back to your point about Vance Joseph, like the tight end has always been a problem for the Cardinals defense. You know, I look back to last year in the Lions game, they got shredded by the tight ends. And again, yesterday they got beat up by the tight ends. And so maybe it is a talent issue. Maybe it is a scheme issue. I don't know. But I do think that the defense, historically, this organization is a defensive organization. Let's be honest about it. Until Kyler Murray got here, they were all about having an awesome defense and everything is great. Next year, though, they should get Chandler Jones back, from injury. So that'll be a big improvement. But next year, I would love to see this unit kind of come together. And I think guys like Patrick Pederson make that kind of difficult to do because he thinks he's way better than he is. And there's a lot of pride in that guy. So
I agree.
It's a difficult situation.
Yep, no doubt about that. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are listening to this on our podcast, which we also obviously post this show in audio form, make sure you search The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show on YouTube. Pretty easy to find. You can't miss us. Make sure you subscribe. It makes a huge difference to our channel. So search The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show on YouTube, and click subscribe. And of course, you should go back and like every single video on our channel because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And all of it is, lit.
Do it.
Next, can we move on to the Chicago Bears?
Uh-huh.
The Bears make the playoffs. They make the playoffs by getting blown out by the Green Bay Packers. And if you're new to this show, you probably do not realize that I'm a massive, huge, unapologetic Chicago Bears fan.
Uh-huh.
Grew up in Chicago. Walter Payton is my favorite athlete ever. There's no question about that. I'm a huge Bears fan. Matt Nagy is not an NFL caliber head coach, and Ryan Pace, who is the general manager of the Chicago Bears, has done a terrible job. And my biggest fear is that those two guys are going to keep their job because the Chicago Bears made the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to face the Saints in New Orleans, and that's neat and swell. The bigger issue here is the Bears are going to be mediocre for a decade if they do not fire Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy as soon as this season's over, Jake.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, what we learned yesterday and what we've learned over these past couple games is that Trubisky is a serviceable quarterback, but you got to put him in good positions. I look at you want to talk about schemes, I look at the offensive stuff that Matt Nagy rolls out there, and there's so many times where we're just questioning, what are we doing? Why are we not running the football more? Why are we not, why are we doing X, Y, and Z that's just kneecapping us offensively? And then you look at Ryan Pace, and, when the Khalil Mack deal went down, I know you had a lot of criticism about it because of how much they gave up.
Yes.
But I think, the immediate impact that Khalil made, kind of made that deal worth it. And now it's turning out not to be worth it in the long term, which obviously it was easy to tell that from the time they did the deal. And so when we talk about Ryan Pace, you're right. He hasn't done a great job. Overall, the team is sort of in no man's land as far as the cap is concerned, as far as the talent on the field is concerned. So yes, I would. Even though you made the playoffs, it's not like you made the playoffs at 12-3. It's not like you're some dominant football team. You got in because of circumstances, and you got your ass handed to you by your rival, and you're still getting into the postseason. So yes, I would get rid of both of them, and I think you got to start fresh. And I think depending on who you bring in, that will determine a guy like Trubisky's future.
Yeah, it is really frustrating to watch what's the right word? The degradation. It is really difficult to watch just how terrible this Bears team is.
Yeah.
And I say that because the play calling for Matt Nagy is awful.
Right.
He is calling plays for somebody else's talent because he's not calling plays that suit Mitch Trubisky.
Right.
Allen Robinson wasn't even targeted. I don't think he was targeted the entire first half last night. Or yesterday, excuse me.
Right.
And I'm just asking myself, how do you even justify that?
Yeah.
Allen Robinson is an all-pro caliber wide receiver. And you're not even throwing him the football in the first half.
Yeah.
And you're in position the entire game to beat the Packers. And you just don't know how to call a game.
Nope.
I'm amazed by it. And I am amazed by people in Chicago who defend Matt Nagy. And I am amazed by people in Chicago who say that it's Mitch Trubisky, it's not Ryan Pace or Matt Nagy. Well, who's responsible for Mitch Trubisky being there?
Yeah.
Ryan Pace, who passed on Deshaun Watson, who passed on every viable quarterback, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes could be a Chicago Bear.
Yeah.
But you passed on him to trade up to get Mitchell Trubisky. And you're going to get, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's not good.
What do you, I don't even know what you say to that. What is the defense of Mitchell Trubisky at this point?
The only defense is that, as a quarterback, the guy is just never put in a position to succeed. Does he miss throws that he should make from time to time? Yes, he does, but every quarterback does.
Yes.
That's not unique to just Mitchell Trubisky. I think, I start getting frustrated with Matt Nagy when I start seeing, them running the option with Mitchell Trubisky. You shouldn't be running the option with Mitchell Trubisky. You want to run the option with Lamar Jackson? Okay, cool, I get it. The guy can run his ass off, but that's not who Mitchell Trubisky is. And so, I look at Mitchell Trubisky and I see a guy who's got plenty of arm strength. I see a guy who puts the ball in good positions when you call plays that he's comfortable with. And so my point here is that if you were to develop him and you were to form an offense that suits his strengths instead of, suits what you like to call, just generally speaking, I think they'd be in a lot better of a position. But you're totally right. The idea that they didn't target Allen Robinson the entire first half is insane to me. You can't tell me that's because he was bracketed the whole first half. It's not going to work.
Well, and you finally now are, getting back to a point where you have a nice complement of draft picks this year. You have your own, first, second, third round picks here. Is Ryan Pace the guy you want?
No.
Making those selections?
No.
Yeah, and my point is, hell no, you don't. You don't.
Why would you want that guy to be making your picks when he passed on all those other?
It makes zero sense to me. It makes absolutely zero sense. And I just don't see how you're able to justify leaving Ryan Pace in position when the offensive line is not good enough.
Yep.
You have a running back in David Montgomery that you didn't believe in for arguably 14 weeks of the season. And now the last 3 weeks, you finally started running the football heavily. Yeah. And what happened? You started winning games.
Funny how that works.
Right? Like, he had 30 yards on the first drive yesterday before it looked like his knee melted down, and then it didn't. He was fine.
Somehow he came right back in.
Right? And you wind up handing him the football, and he runs in for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And you got away from the run for most of the rest of the game. And you made no adjustment. That's on coaching.
Yes.
You have a coach and a GM who just aren't very good at their jobs.
Nah, they don't get it. They don't get it, and I think, it's just a general rule of thumb in the NFL and really anytime you're playing football. If you can run the football successfully, good things are going to happen for your offense. It's tried and true. It's always been the case, and I think too often NFL teams are trying to get cute with the West Coast style offense and let's not run the ball, but let's throw it out into the flat and play the screen game. And the Bears just aren't good enough to do that. They are a run-first team, or I should say they should be a run-first team, and then you should work off of that. When they've done that, they've won. When they haven't, they haven't. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, I don't know. What about Dallas? Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Obviously, you lost Dak Prescott to a horrific injury.
Right.
Fire crotch, Andy Dalton, he was serviceable.
Yeah.
The quarterback. Have you ever hated a quarterback more than Andy Dalton?
No, I think he's just average.
Have you ever hated a quarterback more than Andy? The answer is no. You hate Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I'm just not an Andy Dalton guy. The guy is just average. I think, I think what he did for the Cowboys is nice and everything. Like, he came in, he filled a spot, he got hurt, he came back. Like, he had a nice season by his standards, and I think my thing with the Cowboys overall is just that they're always an average team. Even in the years when they have double-digit wins, they're still an average team compared to the rest of the people who have double-digit wins, So it's the Cowboys are somehow, some way, are still living on what happened 20 years ago in the heyday of Cowboys football, and that's not where they are right now. They're a bad team right now. Like, it's that simple. And you want to talk about a GM having issues? Jerry Jones is not good at what he does. He's just not, and it's forever going to hold them back.
How on earth did Mike McCarthy not challenge that catch? Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
It cost them.
Absolutely, and if you didn't see it, Giants and Cowboys are playing yesterday.
Before the Giants got screwed by the Eagles.
Correct.
Yeah.
The only way they had a chance to get screwed by the Eagles was to win that game. And thanks to Mike McCarthy not challenging the Dante Pettis catch, which clearly he trapped against the ground.
In real time, it did look like a catch. Like at game speed, it looked like a catch. But in replay, it clearly was not a catch.
Yeah, after the game, McCarthy said the catch, it was obviously down in our area. And the way the receiver turned to me and the information, we just felt it was too close. We just felt it was kind of a bang-bang type situation. Well, you're the only ones who thought that. Because everybody else,
real quick.
everybody else realized that he should have challenged that play. By the way, what happened? Well, Gano comes in and kicks a field goal, and the Giants wind up winning the game. And I am in shock and awe over it. And
isn't this who the Cowboys are, right? Like they have a situation in front of them, and they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, you look at what field issues Zeke has had. They didn't really do anything about that. You look at the Dak Prescott contract situation. They haven't really done anything about that.
Oh.
You know, I mean, this is who they are as an organization.
Yeah. Do you fire Mike McCarthy?
No, it's way too soon.
I think it's way too. Now, Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
I'm thinking you're going to force him to make that change. I just don't know. I don't know how that happens. I mean, you lost to the Giants 23-19.
Yeah,
and
you should have won the game
on several blown coverages.
Yes,
on just you have tons of talent on defense. They've spent so much money on defense, and you just did nothing with it.
Nope.
I mean, blown assignments. And look, I understand it. I get it. Dak Prescott was a huge loss. It was demoralizing. The injury was grotesque. He cried like a wussy going off the field. Well, his ankle was shredded, so I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the penultimate moments of this season.
Yeah.
Was when Dak was on that cart crying.
For the league, I'd say, not even just for the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
For the league.
And all of the Cowboys, like every player on the field was going over and talking to him.
Yeah.
And wishing him well. And I get it. You had a guy in Andy Dalton that you brought in just for this situation because Dak Prescott's a running quarterback.
Yeah.
And you knew this was a possibility. And you blew it. You mismanaged it to a point where Dak wasn't even the problem. Dak wasn't the reason you missed the playoffs. It's because you made the wrong calls. You didn't challenge plays. Like, if you could screw it up, you did screw it up.
And they continue to screw it up. I mean, this is something that's,
Man.
again, this is why I say, like, they make bad decisions year after year after year after year, and then they wonder why they don't win anything.
Yeah. I'm shocked by it.
Yeah.
I am absolutely. Look, I wouldn't fire Mike McCarthy. I just wouldn't. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but I understand why Dallas Cowboy fans would want that. You can't fire Mike McCarthy.
I just don't think it fixes what ails them. Jerry Jones is the problem and will be until he's done. Like, it's just that it's simple.
Well, until he gets hit by a bus, I don't see that the Cowboys are going to be able to hire a GM because he'll never give it up.
Nope.
Real quick, best team in the NFL right now?
It's either the Bills or the Chiefs. I'd probably the Chiefs, I would say.
So would you favor them to win the Super Bowl?
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
How can you say that? Because your boy, Baker Mayfield's in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He's like...
tell me, train, bro.
Once you turned off the lights in your apartment last night, Jake is now single because he broke up with a girl on text.
You're such a hater, dude.
What do you mean? What?
You're a hater.
Am I wrong?
No, we're not. No, I'm not doing it. No.
Anyway, my point is, heartbreaker over here. When you're alone in your apartment, you have this beautiful new apartment.
Right.
You're alone.
Right.
It's pitch black in your room. It's just you and Baker laying in bed.
What's an erection?
Right. My point exactly.
Yeah.
My point exactly. So, how much did you think about Baker falling asleep last night?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about Baker falling asleep last night. I think for Baker, it's nice. It's a good moment. I think
Just gonna gloss
Baker
right
has done a great job of moving the questions. during the middle of the season because people were starting to ask, like, is it time to move on for Baker? Is he the guy? Like, can he take them to the future?
Did you pick up his option?
Like, yeah, I mean, and now I don't think there's any question. You're definitely picking up his option. And I think for Baker, that was he came in clutch, like for not only for his career but for the team. Like I think he did a great job. Now, is he going to throw 2 or 3 picks in the postseason game and end the year with everybody hating him? That's a distinct possibility. But at least he got to the postseason.
Bro, they are going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I don't see any way they go there and win. Pittsburgh's very good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think it ends. It's nice they're back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? Ending an incredibly long drought.
Mm-hmm.
They're back in the playoffs. I think, to your point, the questions at quarterback in Cleveland have been answered at least for several seasons. But if they go 0-16 next year and he throws 39 picks, okay, might want to make a change. That's not going to happen.
Right.
I feel like their quarterback situation has been stabilized.
Yeah. And
now they can look to address other issues.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Baker is there's still a lot of development there. You know, there are times when he does make awful decisions. Like, I know that every quarterback, is going to throw an interception, but there's a difference between that and just making really dumb decisions. Throwing in a double or triple coverage deep down the field to turn it over, like holding the ball way too long, like these things that quarterbacks are responsible for. He's still got a lot of work to do, but my point is he's done enough to definitely solidify another year with that team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him, a 2 or 3 year deal or something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. If you're just tuning into the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're live on YouTube. Appreciate you listening to the podcast as well. And again, if you're on the podcast, wherever you get a podcast, just search The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. Whether that's our good friends at Spotify, who we do big business on Spotify. Appreciate everybody who listens there. iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast. Google Play, Google that. Make sure you search The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show for a podcast, and then go find us on YouTube, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and hit subscribe on YouTube. Real quick on BYU football.
Yeah.
Huge weekend of announcements.
Uh-huh.
I mean, from Troy Warner to Zach Wilson, Dax Milne, Christensen, a lot of loss to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Take 20 seconds and think back to the kind of year that BYU had. How would you describe the season that they had?
Well, I certainly, just in the big picture, it's the best season that they've had in, I would say, probably 10 years. Is that fair to say? 10 years? Best season they've had in 10 years? I would say that's fair.
Close, yeah. Arguably, yeah.
I mean, I think this year was so unique for BYU just with COVID and the fact that they sort of had to just like patchwork the schedule together. And I think the impressive thing is not only did Tom Hommel patchwork that schedule together, Zach Wilson and the guys went out and proved a point. Like they played really, really well. Is it unfortunate that Zach Wilson, wasn't given the credit he deserves as far as the Heisman discussion is concerned? Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think he should have been right there. He played really well. Now, as far as the program's concerned moving forward, yeah, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty because now it's going to be time to prove that this year was legit. And the only way that you do that as a program is you go out next year and you get 8. That has to be the benchmark now.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see exactly how they recover. I mean, obviously, you're not replacing Zach Wilson at quarterback.
No.
I mean, his he was a very short-time guy at BYU.
Right.
With injuries, and if you look at just the number of games he played, he didn't play 4 years as a starter. He didn't play 3 years, 2 years. Right. The guy missed a lot of time because of injury. This was easily his best season. And without question, I think you have to talk about where Zach Wilson's history is amongst the great BYU quarterbacks of time gone by.
Yeah.
Now, that's a different show and a different time, but Zach Wilson's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft.
And he's definitely going to go down in history as one of the best BYU quarterbacks the program's ever seen. I mean, I really just don't think that's in question.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see exactly, how does all of this impact the 2021 season?
Yeah.
Because you would think by the time fall rolls around, by the time we get through, 8 months from now?
Yeah.
you're probably not going to have the COVID issues you have now.
Right.
Because you're going to have a vaccine, you would hope, that has been widely distributed, although that's in question at this point. It'll be interesting to see exactly how all of this graduation impacts BYU. BYU is never going to have a shortage of talent.
Right.
I think Kalani's done a great job stocking that team. I think he's done a great job of stocking that roster. And for the first time in a long time, and you talk about a decade, maybe not that long, but for the first time in a long time, you can say that BYU is effectively developing talent.
Yes.
And I think when you look at a guy like Dax Milne, when you look at the Christensens, just look at some of the guys on this team.
Yeah.
Algier, Pini Katoa, you look at all of these guys that impacted this team this year. A lot of those guys were left for dead. A lot of those guys were, you wondered what their role on a team at BYU would be. And I think at this point, the one thing that I would say really stood out to me this year was the development we saw not only in a guy like a Zach Wilson, but Dax Milne, who is going to be an NFL draft pick. Obviously, having a quarterback like Zach Wilson helps the growth and the learning curve of a guy like Dax Milne. Nobody saw Dax Milne becoming this.
Well, and I think in the college game, whether we're talking basketball, baseball, especially football, being able to develop the talent you have, being able to take a one-star guy and turn him into a five-star guy while he's still in your program is what the game's all about, frankly. It's why, I know, comparing BYU to, Clemson or Alabama is a stretch. Obviously, they're in completely different positions. But you look at programs that are big names in this country, and they're not big names just with the top 20 guys on the roster. Yes, they have great talent on the top end, but Nick Saban, that asshat Dabo Sweeney, they're developing guys, bro. They're turning guys into they're turning 1 stars into 3.5, 4 stars, and they're turning 4 stars into 5 stars. And so when we talk about, hey, is Utah 3 deep at every position? Is Alabama 3 deep? Can BYU be 3 deep? Well, that's what it takes. You have to develop these guys. And so, losing Zach Wilson, that's going to be a unique challenge. I don't want to be the guy replacing Zach Wilson at BYU. I want to be the guy that's replacing the guy that replaced Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge challenge. Real quick on Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah.
That was justice that Ohio State doled out.
Hell yeah, it was.
And I think we've talked a lot on this show about the fact that Dabo, said that Ohio State didn't belong in the top 11 and certainly didn't belong in the college football playoff, and saying that Coastal Carolina was more deserving than Ohio State, and this whole thing. There are a few guys in college football that I think are more hype. There are a few guys who I think are just complete frauds as coaches, and I think leading that fraud train is Dabo Sweeney. Is he good at what he does? He is. He's a good football coach. But when you put your kids in a position like Dabo Sweeney put his kids in a position over the weekend, where Clemson absolutely got stomped by Ohio State.
Yep.
And it felt good to watch it happen. And when you realize that that's how Trevor Lawrence is going to end his career, and you realize that 90% of the blame belongs at Dabo Sweeney's feet because he ran his mouth and was not able to control the things that he said to the point where he pissed off Ohio State. And anybody who tells you that, Ohio State didn't need that for motivation.
Oh, please.
They didn't use that. You're full of crap. Ohio State came out with a chip on their shoulder. They were all talking about it after the game. They all laughed about it after the game. Dabo Sweeney tried to play it off. Oh, I have all the respect in the world. And I didn't mean that they weren't a good team. Shut up.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You're embarrassing. In my opinion, what you did to Clemson, this college football playoff cycle, damaged the legacy of guys like Trevor Lawrence. And that's at your feet. You'll never admit it. You'll never own it because that's just not who you are.
You really think what he said damaged his legacy? Trevor Lawrence's legacy?
There's no question about it, and here's exactly why. Because in my opinion, Clemson's a better football team than Ohio State.
Well, yeah.
Ohio State came out and prepared for weeks based on what Dabo Sweeney said.
Right.
And Trevor Lawrence, I don't think there's any question he's the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
I love Zach Wilson, who I think is the number 2 quarterback off the board. And I'll say again, I think he either goes number 2 to the Jets or number 15 to the Patriots.
Yeah.
But Trevor Lawrence should still be playing college football.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason he's not is because Dabo Sweeney completely disrespected Ohio State, who took it as complete disrespect.
As they should have.
And came out, Ohio State did, on a mission to pound Trevor Lawrence. And he took an absolute beating in that game. He was hit hard repeatedly. When have you seen Trevor Lawrence put their ball on the ground 3 times?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't see him do that.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, granted, Clemson plays in the ACC, which means already crowned Clemson.
It is weak.
Yeah,
it's definitely weak.
Absolutely, it's weak. And I think Dabo Sweeney lit a fire under Ohio State. And Justin Fields, obviously, Fields stole the story, stole the stage because he was injured and the deep ball throws. And he absolutely took the stage from Trevor Lawrence. Credit to Justin Fields for doing that. His story, the transfers, all great story, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
He's not a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. And Ohio State's not better than Clemson. But when you motivate a bunch of young people behind a guy like Ryan Day who's really good at motivating players, Dabo, that's on you. And again, I know you'll never admit it. I get it. I know you won't. And I totally get that. All right, let's switch gears and talk some NBA.
Yeah.
Your guy, Steph Curry.
Yep. Put on a show.
Lil Steph Curry.
Yep.
Dropped 62 last night.
Yeah.
Neat. They're awful.
They're terrible.
The Golden State Warriors are bad. You're watching that last night all excited and we're texting. You know, you're back at your apartment with your blow-up doll of Baker Mayfield, and you and he are just cuddling on the couch, watching, or in the recliner because you don't have a couch.
I don't have a couch yet, yeah.
Right. But you guys are just cuddling in the recliner, you and Baker, and watching your guy, Steph Curry, drop 62.
Yeah, it was great.
You enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was great.
They are terrible, and it's almost meaningless.
Yeah, you know, every year in the NBA, there's always a team that, like, was good, but now is not good, but they still have, like, 1 or 2 players from, you know, those teams that were really good. And once or twice a year, those players are going to pop off and do their thing. You know, I look back to, look at what Book did against the Celtics a couple years ago. You know, moments like that, moments like this for Steph. You know, I think it's fun to watch, and I think particularly for Steph, it's really enjoyable to watch because of how many threes he's able to shoot and make, and the fashion with which he makes those threes. It's not like the guy's just standing out on the arc and, you know, just kind of shooting wide open shots. I mean, you're talking about a guy who is literally like running from the defense. Like these are difficult shots he's making. So to put up 62 like that, I think is impressive. But yes, it is meaningless because they're an awful team.
It's unfortunate, too, because I think James Wiseman is one of the best stories in the NBA.
Yeah.
A 19-year-old kid that is shooting threes, passing well, dunking, running the break the other night with a Euro step slam. This Warriors team is not good, but, man, they're fun to watch.
They are.
And my point is, listen, and I want to be really careful with this because this is going to sound like I'm being a hater.
Right.
Which means I'm about to be a hater. Steph Curry has 62. And nobody bought shoes.
Yeah.
And the fortunes of the Warriors weren't changed.
Uh-huh.
How do I say this gently? I just don't think he's an impact guy. I don't think he's a guy that can singularly win you a championship. And I look at how bad the Warriors have been, and I wonder, why is that? And I hate saying it. I mean, I guess I couldn't say it or shouldn't say it, but I'm gonna. On the morning after he scores 62 points last night, I just think Steph is a guy that you want on your team. He's not a guy you have to have on your team.
No, but I certainly think he's one of the best point guards in the league. I don't think anyone questions that. And I think, you know, I think back to the Toronto series, and he had a chance to win that series and win Game 6 and go to Game 7. We all remember the shot that he had on the right wing to win Game 6, and he missed. He did miss. He didn't hit the clutch shot. But my point in that is just to say that I think Steph Curry is one of the best point guards the game is ever going to see. And I think he's incredibly entertaining, and I think he's incredibly beneficial to the league itself. I mean, you think about point guards, and he's one of the first names that comes to your head. So, can he win a championship alone like LeBron did? No, he's not. If you swapped out, young LeBron on the Cavs with Steph Curry on the Cavs, no, they're not going to do what they did. But I will say that they don't win the championships they won without Steph Curry.
But if they had somebody else that's not even on Steph's level shooting the three. Mm-hmm. Look, the Splash Brothers are great. I get it.
Right.
They are the best 1-2 combo in the NBA and probably in NBA history as shooters.
Right.
Totally get all that.
Uh-huh.
Without Clay, they don't win anything.
Right. Clay brings a lot.
He can't win on his own.
That's true.
And LeBron can win on his own. Jordan certainly won on his own.
Right.
Kobe won on his own.
Uh-huh.
I just don't think I ever will put Curry in that group.
He's not in the GOAT conversation. I think he's in the GOAT conversation as far as point guards only are concerned.
No, I don't think he is. Is he even in any GOAT conversation?
Yes, I think he's in the GOAT conversation as far as point guards in the NBA history are concerned.
Wow. Okay. He's got handles. He's got a great shot.
He's got a great finishing package.
Yeah, I don't know about his package, but my point is...
go there.
What? My point is that I don't believe that he is one of the greatest players ever. What? Is he one of the best 100 players ever?
Man.
I know that's tough, but I don't know that he is.
Dude, he's definitely... to me, he's a top 20 point guard ever. Ever in the league. Like, ever. He can shoot the ball better than you can. He can handle the ball better than you can. He's not as good of a passer as some of the other great point guards were, but he makes up with that in other areas of his game. And he can finish. Like, he does everything you need him to do. And, by the way, he's a great guy. He's not going to hurt the chemistry of your team.
No, I love Steph. But I just felt like he scored 62 last night, and I feel like the narrative got out of hand a little bit.
As far as what?
Oh, greatest all time. Oh, my God. The Warriors are back. No, they're not. No, he's not.
No, it was just a nice moment. Yeah, I mean, anytime a player goes for 50+, it's going to get taken out of hand a little bit, but the Warriors are not back. They're not going to the postseason, and they're not doing anything this year.
Okay. Look, I'm not saying Curry sucks. I'm not saying any of that. And I just want to be really careful with that. No, I'm not going to read the comments right now, but I want to be really careful with that because I'm not saying he sucks. You don't score 62 in an NBA game and suck.
Right.
I'm just telling you he's not one of the best ever. And he is not a guy that you can build a championship team around. I just don't see that that's possible. Yeah. If James Harden's on that Warrior team.
They don't win the championships they've won.
Him and Clay together.
No.
Okay.
They do not get to where they got to.
Okay. If Chris Paul's on that team.
Chris Paul and Klay Thompson, they don't do what they did. No.
Come on.
They don't, dude.
Come on.
Dude, they don't.
Better point guard. Chris Paul or Steph Curry?
Is never putting up 50 or 60. That's never happening.
Right,
ever.
But he makes sure that the other guys around him are.
Right, cool. But that doesn't mean that he's got that top end. He doesn't have what Steph Curry has.
Okay.
I mean, I guess we just disagree on how good
Chris
Steph
Paul
Curry
or
is.
Steph Curry?
I'm taking Steph Curry over Chris Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. In their primes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Not Chris Paul today. Not 86-year-old State Farm
primes,
agent.
I'm taking Steph Curry. I am, dude.
You're crazy.
I am.
You're crazy.
Okay.
Man. Kobe or Steph Curry?
Well, Kobe, of course.
Okay, good. I'm just checking.
Dude, I said 5 minutes ago, he's not in the greatest of all time ever in the NBA conversation. He's not in the LeBron, Kobe, Jordan conversation.
Well, look, you have the Baker blow-up doll.
Right.
Do you have a Steph blow-up doll?
It's on back order.
It is.
It's on back order.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Is James Harden fat?
Yeah, I mean, he's put on weight. Yeah, he has. By NBA standards, yes, he's fat.
He's got a boiler.
Yeah. I mean, he's still putting up 30, 40 a night.
When you're fat like I'm fat, you know what fat looks like, right? I mean, somebody get that man a 3XL jersey.
Right.
Because that slim
That's
fit
the other thing.
1XL
He
jersey.
likes to wear his
man.
jersey really tight.
Is it time to shave the beard?
No, he'll never shave the beard. No.
But
he looks weird without the beard.
Okay, is it time for him to shave the beard?
No, it's time for him to drop 15 pounds.
Yeah, but you can't do that and eat churros. Like, there's just not going to happen.
Hey.
I think he's playing really well. I think he's averaging 37 points.
Yeah.
I also happen to think that he's a guy that is not trying real hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe this is his pandemic 20. I don't know. I mean, I know about putting on 17 pounds during a pandemic. Trust me, I get it. But my point is, I think that there's some. He's not in the best shape. But what did you say to me before the show?
Dude, if he's putting up his numbers, who cares? You know, it's only going to become a problem when he starts putting up 20 instead of 35. You know, and that's why I say, like, I would not sign James Harden. I would not have him on my team. Is he a hell of a scorer? Is he a hell of a player?
He's going to get 50 mil.
Nah, I'm good.
Bro, he's going to get 50. He's going to get $50 million a year.
Dude, no. I'm not doing that, bro.
The portly beard-wearing fellow is going to get fit. The guy with a boiler is going to get 50.
Dude, I can't.
That's
not good enough.
$50 million.
A year.
Not
a contract, but a year.
I said, damn.
Yeah, dude.
He's $50 million.
He's probably, and I'm
my God.
I'm being serious here. He's, what is he, probably 15 pounds over right now?
Probably.
10, 15 pounds over?
He is thick. And you actually sent me a Drew League video of him.
Where he's like cut.
He looks emaciated
compared
to what he is now.
He was cut in the Drew.
I mean, we need to do one of those memes of how we started, how's it going?
Yeah, dude.
Because
like,
my man,
crap.
He's sweating a lot right now.
Yes.
Like, I mean, anyway.
I don't know what he did during the offseason. That was like 5 minutes, but he ate a lot.
Bro, yeah. Paul George last night. Before we get to your best friend, Donald Trump, who I think you also have in my back order, don't you?
Yes.
Anyway, Paul George last night. 39 points. Clippers beat the Suns.
Right.
Devin Booker called Paul George a soft-ass N.
Yeah, on the floor. He yelled that at Paul George.
Did Devin Booker go too far?
No. Nope. Because that's the culture in the league on the floor. That's what it is.
He got a technical for it.
Well, they each got technicals for it.
Right.
Offsetting technicals to settle the score.
But Paul George, here's where I'm at with Paul George. And again, maybe this is just another.
This is
maybe
what I think we agree on.
Maybe this is a Steph Curry take where, because everybody knows I've never seen an NBA game, so what do I know?
Yeah, what do you know? Yeah, come on.
Paul George is soft, and he's that guy who doesn't get upset until all of his teammates are between him and Devin Booker. And then all of a sudden, Paul George is upset and he wants to kick your ass.
Right.
And it's just like, dude, get out of here. And so Devin Booker calls him a soft-ass N. I think he went too far.
Yeah.
I think he got a technical for it. But then after the game, Paul George is like, hey, man, I'm tired.
Man.
Hey, man, I'm tired of hearing about last season.
Oh.
I've been getting a lot of chirping about what happened last season.
Right.
Well, mainly because, you guys sucked, you choked, and you disappointed everybody, and Kawhi played really well and you didn't. I mean, that could be why you're hearing about last year, right?
Yeah.
And so now Paul George is like, I didn't hear anything the first 10 years. Well, because you were a cool story when you broke your leg and came back and you were better than before you broke your leg. You were a cool story.
Yeah.
But now you're just apparently soft, which I agree with.
Yeah.
I don't know about calling him a soft-ass N. I think that's too far. But he's soft. Paul George is not a guy I'd want on my team.
No. He is soft. I think he's not a winner. Certainly he's not a winner.
Winning.
And I think overall he just doesn't have the right mentality. And the Suns broadcast even said it last night. The guy goes for 39, and the paper will tell you he had some amazing game, but did he really have an amazing game?
No, he didn't.
He didn't. I mean, after that altercation, I think there was about 6 minutes left in the game when that altercation happened. And after that, he probably put up 4 or 5 more shots, didn't make a single one. And that tells you that he's not a killer, man. He is just not. I miss the Indiana Pacers Paul George that dunked on LeBron and the Birdman in the postseason. Everybody remembers that dunk. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube.
Gone, bro.
Bro, that guy, that Paul George, 24 Paul George, does not exist anymore. 13 Paul George is who we got now, and he is soft as soft gets.
Yeah, and by the way, his shoes suck now.
Yeah, no.
After the PG-1 NASA,
yeah,
it's been straight downhill.
Yeah, I don't understand where this whole zipper concept came from. Like, why are we zipping up shoes now?
And can we talk about shoes for a minute? Please don't pay $500 for Adapts.
Suckmyass.com.
Right, that's where you get Adapts for $500. And if you don't know what an Adapt is, it's a Nike shoe that has a power unit in it.
Power.
Where you hit a button and it laces your shoes for you.
Whoa.
First of all, James Harden, you're fat, lace your own shoes. Second of all, they're $500.
Vexes me.
I said $500.
Terribly vexed.
And it's cool. They come with a battery-driven thing in them, so they give you wireless charging. That'll be $500, please. I paid $300 for a desk that has a wireless charger on it. Kiss my ass. I'm not paying $500 for shoes. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I pay, where am I at right now? I paid $100. I can't even remember the name of the shoe.
The shoe.
The
Daybreak.
The Daybreak.
Nike Daybreak.
I paid $100 for that shoe.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And,
Wait, do you have to lace that shoe or does it auto-lace?
No, I'm fat, so I try to lace it myself. By the way, if you've ever lived in a house that doesn't have stairs, moving into a house with stairs is a terrible idea. Anyway, but the point is, I actually tie my own shoes.
Right.
I do.
Uh-huh.
And I'm impressed with myself for doing that.
Uh-huh.
But I just don't, I'm not doing it. I'm not. And, well, but you're being an idiot now. Jeff says, but you'll pay $200 for Jordans.
So I said, yeah.
Yeah, what's the question? Yes, I will pay $200 for Jordans. I'll pay $100 for Daybreaks.
Right.
Yeah. I'll do that.
But what's
I'm fine
the difference?
with that.
What's the difference? Because, I get the difference, but I'm saying, for people who don't get it, what's the difference?
Okay, number one, the Jordans I buy are only retros and only ones he wore. And I'll buy some casual ones. Like I bought the Pines. I'll buy different color ones just because.
It's a great shoe.
Yeah, that's the shoe of my childhood.
Right.
Air Jordan 1s.
Right.
But it's Jordan. It's Air Jordan. It's a way of life. Right? It's a lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
$500 Adapts is not a lifestyle. It's criminal. Seriously. Brought to you by the Trump Organization. Check us out at TrumpU.com. It's criminal, man. To ask somebody to pay $500 for shoes because they come with wireless charging? No.
Physiologically, it's a non-starter.
I'm not doing it.
Right. I'm not a fan of the Adapts. I don't care what shoe they come in. I just think it's what. So I could kind of understand if it was $250. Hey, you don't have to lace your shoes. It's going to cost $50. Okay, I could kind of understand that. But we went from $200 to $500. No.
Fat Jesus wants to know if he can trade his Big Baller brand shoes for Adapts.
Well, it depends what condition they're in.
Truth. At least the Adapts will stay on your foot and not tear.
Yeah.
Kaylin. Hi, Kaylin. Welcome to the show. Please hit subscribe on YouTube. $500.
Dude, no.
Kaylin says, longtime listener, good to hear Jake back on the drop machine. See, what do I tell you every day? Play more drops.
I'm trying, man.
People like when you play drops.
I'm trying.
Motherfucker.
Down. Jake, why aren't you playing drops?
Fucking. Motherfucker.
That's why he's not playing drops.
Right.
The Stever says, Jake, do you have any lingering symptoms from COVID?
Everybody gets a test.
He says that Stever says that he had chocolate last night and still cannot taste chocolate.
Nah, I can taste and smell anything. I guess this would be a good time to to tell my story from last night because last night was kind of weird.
Yeah, Jake. Okay, so we got to the point where you were cuddling in bed with Baker.
Well,
and the blow-up doll.
no. We were in the recliner with Baker. We hadn't quite made it to the bed.
Oh,
yet.
so you hadn't picked him up and
right? I hadn't swaddled him yet.
To the bed.
Swaddle, yeah,
and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, point is, by the way, I don't have a blow-up doll of Baker. Just so we're clear on that, I don't have.
You got wait. You got rid of it?
Yes, but I did recycle it. It is not one-time use plastic. So,
oh yeah.
So that's what matters.
Yeah, Mrs. Monty's been on a rip about recycling and stuff.
Anyway,
and so she kicked Jake out of the house, and that's why he has his own apartment. Anyway, go ahead.
No, so everything was cool. Made dinner, was watching stuff, watching book, watching basketball, whatever. 8 o'clock rolls around, and I just get really cold. It was really weird. Like, I just got cold.
Yeah, because you were chilling at the
and I checked the thermostat, and it's 68. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty normal. So
which by the way, in your place is
cooking.
Yeah.
So I bump it up to 71. I'm like, all right, I don't want to get much past 71. Like, that should be fine.
Yeah, you're broke. You're young.
Yeah, so anyway, I turn the thermostat up, and I get to a point where I'm like, shivering at one point. And so I'm like, all right, I got to shut it down. I got to get under the covers. Like, I don't know what's going on here. So I get under the covers. I go to sleep. Probably took me about 20 minutes to fall asleep. Wake up at 12, midnight. The reason I woke up is because my water heater was running.
Okay.
Don't know why my water heater was running.
Well, because they heat water. That's what
right,
they do.
but why would you need to heat water if I'm not using any water?
So all of a sudden it's just
running. And I'm like, why is my water heater running? And then I hear water dripping, and I'm like, why is there water dripping? And so at midnight, I go and check my faucet in the kitchen, not dripping. Go and check my bathtub faucet, water drip stops. Don't know, couldn't find it. And so then I go back to bed, wake up at 3, gotta pee, forgot to turn the stove light off, so I turn that off, go back to bed, and wake up at 5. Just a super, weird, strange night.
Yeah, and you don't usually get visits from nighttime pee guy.
No, not a nighttime pee guy.
I peed last night every 2 hours. So my wife got us this game that we play in bed.
Whoa.
So after I took off all the leather, I went to sleep. No, so it's a card game, and if there are questions on it that are conversation starters. And so, we one of the questions last night was, what's something that you've never revealed to anybody before? Uh-huh. I legit couldn't think of anything. So she told me that she had a crush on John Stamos in the womb.
Oh, shit.
Okay, I'm better looking than John Stamos. I feel pretty good. So finally, anyway, after that, I get up, I go pee. It's 10 o'clock. I'm like, all right, cool.
Had you been sleeping already, or you went to, this was before? Okay.
No.
Okay.
10 o'clock, go to bed, fall asleep, wake up at 11:05. Nighttime pee guy's like, hey, fat ass, we got to go to the bathroom. Let's go. So I get up at 11, I go to the bathroom, go back to sleep, wake up at 1:05. Hey, fat ass, let's go.
I'm going to get medieval on your ass.
So I'm like, seriously, bro, I'm going to chop you off if you don't stop. So I wake up at 3:30. Gotta go. Wake up at 5 o'clock, 4:58 before my 5 a.m. alarm. Right to the bathroom, take a leak. And it's just like...
What's the all-time record?
86 times. Like, I don't know. and I, my prostate works fine. I'm planting seeds everywhere. Right? Like, everything's good.
Right.
Like, my health is good. And when I'm in workout, lose weight, drink, and I did have a lot to drink, and it was stupid of me to drink an entire blender bottle of water at 7:30 last night.
Why are you surprised?
And I had 2 Monsters, and I had a Powerade Zero, and I think I want to say that I drank a lot yesterday.
Right.
But it's just annoying.
Right.
And then there are nights where I just sleep straight through, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's really, so do you think back to the shivering thing, because that's what concerns me.
Yeah, dude, that was weird, bro. I don't know, just like bam, just out of blue, super cold, very strange. That doesn't happen to me very often.
So in the recliner, were you nude at this point with Baker?
I was not. I was fully dressed. My joggers were on. Everything was fine.
Joggers?
Yes.
By the way, I wholeheartedly lost the jogger argument.
What do you mean?
Everybody says joggers are cool.
They are cool.
Everybody says joggers are cool.
Well, you don't have yoga pants. You have joggers.
I do have yoga pants.
No.
Nike yoga pants, I'm telling you.
They're joggers.
They're not.
Dude.
Look at Nike.com. They are yoga pants. I actually ordered another pair of them.
So you like joggers?
I like yoga pants, yeah.
Right. Okay.
I have 2 pairs of yoga pants and a pair of tactical pants.
Tactical.
Don't have joggers.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Whatever, bro. Whatever.
We're way over time, so let's talk about Donnie.
All right.
So Donnie goes on a rampage over the weekend, and he called the Secretary of State in Georgia. And literally said to the Secretary of State, hey, man, why don't you find me some votes so we can overturn the election result?
Hello.
You're supposed to play that.
We have won this election in Georgia based on all of this. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct... the people of Georgia are angry. And these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Now,
bro, I mean, absolutely shut it down. Like, you're done. It's over.
If you haven't heard this tape, just Google it. Like, it's everywhere from CNN to the Washington Post. It's on FoxNews.com because they hate President Trump now. Screw you, Hannity. Anyway, the point is, he goes on to talk about, hey, you got to find me some votes.
Yeah.
And he's pressuring this Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to find him votes to overturn this election. And I actually agree with the people who are like, hey, isn't that a coup? Like, the coup's been thrown around for a month now.
Right. It's a strong word.
But when you've lost an election, that election has been litigated 60 times, of which you've lost 59 of those lawsuits, and the one lawsuit you won was during the counting of the ballots where you got people from 10 feet to 6 feet to watch the counting of the ballot.
Yeah.
Other than that, you've lost all 59 cases. And you're calling state officials, pressuring them to, quote unquote, find me votes. That's like illegal.
Yeah.
And people are starting to call for impeachment hearings. And it's like, okay, guy, we've got 20 days or 15 days. The Wednesday is going to be interesting this week. If you don't know, that Wednesday is when the Senate is going to, essentially Congress is going to certify the Electoral College. And there's going to be between 15 and 20 senators who contest it. It doesn't matter. But when you're calling a Secretary of State,
directly you're calling that
the
person.
president called the Secretary of State of Georgia and said, people are pissed. You stole this election. Find me votes. Like that's highly illegal.
Yeah, but it's not. The outrage isn't there because of the way this president has handled things.
I think it's really weird. I think we've seen some extraordinary things.
Right.
We've seen, these people from Dominion that are now suing multiple media outlets.
And I would if I were them. I would.
Yeah, they're suing lawyers because they're Dominion's the software that is used on the voting machines.
And by the way, on these calls, and I don't have it, but on these calls, Donald Trump asked that Secretary of State if Dominion swapped out the internal parts on the voting machines to get Biden votes.
Correct.
Like that's the level he's going to. There is no end in sight for these accusations.
By the way, Dominion wasn't used in Georgia.
Yeah, which he doesn't seem to get.
It was really, essentially, it was only used in L.A.
And by the way, the funny part of this whole thing is there's not really an actual argument. There's no, proof of anything. There's no, hey, we have X, that means Y happened. There's nothing.
He's talking about how 5,000 dead people voted in Georgia. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Completely debunked. He talked about thousands and thousands of ballots in a box that was not officially a sealed box. Completely fabricated.
Yeah.
Like, that story has been debunked twice in court, by the way. Completely debunked.
Yeah.
He talked about that there was a water main break at one of the ballot counting stations. Completely debunked. They ran.
And he's still going to keep going with it.
Yeah, he said that, they evacuated because of a water main break. No, they evacuated because of a bomb threat that was called in from a Trump voter. And by the way, security stayed behind to secure the ballots.
Yeah.
Like there was completely debunked.
Yep.
They voted in Georgia, but they were from out of state. 4,925 people voted, sir, that did not live in Georgia. No. So there was a lawsuit about this as well, by the way. Those 4,925 people had left Georgia, relocated somewhere else. They moved back and had legally registered to vote, but they didn't move back just to vote. Like they went through a large number of those 4,925, and most of those people moved back for two reasons. Hey, I got a job, or my family needed me to move back. Those were the two main reasons.
Yeah.
All of these things he's doing, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, there's just no proof. At the end of the day, there's no proof. And, once this vote needs to happen, they need to certify the Electoral College, and then and then Biden needs to take office. And I think once Biden takes office, I think there will be probably a 60 to 90-day period of all of this continuing to go on. And then I think as time goes on, this will die off.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It really will be. It really will be interesting to see what happens. Tomorrow's a huge day in this country. Georgians are going to go to the polls, and millions have already gone to the polls there to elect their senators in these two runoffs, and
it's a big deal.
It is, because will Mitch McConnell continue to have control of the Senate? It's a huge question.
Yep.
We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. We'll be back. A lot more NFL, a lot more college football playoff, a lot more NBA tomorrow. So until tomorrow, say I love you, Baker.
I love you, Baker.